Hello, everybody. What can I say? Sometimes it's 2:05 in the morning and you've got to talk about dissociation to strangers on the internet. That's how we all end up where we are. Before I start, it's hotter than the sun in here, so I've got to leave the window open. Hopefully it'll be quiet because it is 2:05 in the morning, really. But you never know. Anyway, I've been dying to talk about dissociation. It's my favorite one. Of all of the different BPD markers, this one is actually a little bit weird and doesn't quite belong with any of the others. Okay? It's really weird. Right. Let me explain it. It is said that there are as many types of dissociation as there are people with BPD. Everybody describes this differently. Everybody has their own experience of what happens. And so I can tell you about mine, and I can give you the general gist of what people write down about it. But what you experience may be entirely different, and probably is entirely different. Okay. So dissociation is when you go into a dissociative state. And that means kind of like an out-of-body experience. Out-of-body. Is it out-of-body or out-of-body? It's out-of-body, isn't it? Out-of-body experience. Sort of. A bit. That's the best way to describe it. The way I experience it, first of all, you sort of just detach from reality. So if you see, I will look kind of just miles away because I really am. And it's sort of the feeling of not belonging in your own body. You're not there, right? And the way I've always tried to describe, right, the best way to describe it, this may mean something to you. If you've ever played an Assassin's Creed game, there's a car coming past. Sorry if you hear it. Right. If you've ever played an Assassin's Creed game, and the way those work is you're actually a guy in the present day who goes into this machine that projects his consciousness back into that of his ancestor or something like that. I've never actually played them. I've only watched them be played. Not my games. That's just me. But the point of it is that you've got this character running around whose mind doesn't belong in his body. And I'm not even talking from a sort of, immediate sense. Like, there's lots of people talk about wrong brains and wrong bodies and all that. We're not even getting there. We're talking like this consciousness, brain, existence, whatever. There's nothing to do with this left. And I feel like it's like a period of being aware that I'm in the animus machine, that my actual body and consciousness is somewhere else entirely, doing its own thing, but being projected back to me in some way. I know that's weird. I know that's really weird. It's kind of like suddenly realizing that you're in a dream, but you're awake. And it's kind of like, not only is it like nothing is real anymore. And you just sort of go into this state. It's quite a weird thing. And I've come to, right after a bit of studying it, a bit of looking at various things that happen when it happens to me, because you can't choose for it to happen. It just sort of happens. For me, it seems to be sort of environmental. There's a lot of external stimulus that can sort of push me over the edge. Maybe I can set it off. I've not actually experimented with that because I don't really want to. for me, sort of being in an area, lighting has a great deal to do with it. Polarized lighting in an unusually quiet situation. I know this is weird. What? Yeah. So most recently, I get set off. One place that sets me off all the time when I go there is actually the sort of shopping mall bit in town. Right? It's really weird, but it's only sort of during a weekday because it has to be that sort of level of quiet that town shouldn't be, but it is because it's Wednesday morning and everybody's at work. No, it's not Saturday morning. And there's something to do with the lighting and the quietness, and it just sort of removes me from myself. You can focus. I can avoid it, especially if I do things like have earbuds in as I walk around and listen to music and that kind of thing. It just doesn't happen then, which is another thing that makes me think it's environmental. There's also sort of darkness equivalent that tends to come in around winter, which is weird. And I'm curious to know if anyone watches this who has BPD, who knowingly dissociates with it, what do you experience that's different to me? Do you know what sets you off? I think some people go with stress. That might have happened to me. I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert. I only know what works for me, but it's weird. Just imagine 1 minute you sat at Burger King, the next minute you're aware that you sat at Burger King, but it's not real. You're actually somewhere else looking at this. And it's not kind of like that whole death thing of I felt myself leave my body and I was looking down on the operating theatre and no, that's a bit dramatic. That's a bit, it's very quick. It's a very instant sort of gone. And I don't know that there's anything you can really do about it. Apart from like I say, try and learn when it happens and try and avoid that. I find listening to music helps. But again, that's just me and my dissociation. I can't give you any advice on yours. I can't necessarily help. But leave me a comment if you go through it. I would love to know how this affects other people. Because I'm aware that it's really weird and difficult to talk about, not in a sort of shyness, embarrassment kind of way, but it's really difficult to describe what it feels like. So I'm going to give up. I just wanted to talk about it. I'll do a podcast where I talk more in depth about it and we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, leave me a comment. I want to know if you dissociate. Okay. I'll see you later. Bye.